Howdy, folks. Greyhawk 4x4 coming at you again, your resident vintage gamer, and this is our campaign update for this past Friday. And this should be episode, I want to say 14. That sounds about right. If you are not caught up, please go back, check the playlist. I have a full playlist. You can go all the way back as far as you need to get caught up, and then you can come back here and watch this video, and then you'll be all caught up. So those that may need to be caught up, this is the rule set we're using, the Old School's Essentials, and our game world is the Dolmenwood. So both of those are put out by Necrotic Gnome. So, where we left off, we were in the main city, and we were deciding upon several different quest paths that needed to be followed up on. If you remember, there was the Lady Harriman that we were trying to find her daughter, and we spent quite a bit of time trying to find her at the ruined abbey and the catacombs underneath and the tower and all that. Much to our dismay, we could not find her. We did rescue some other children that had been absconded with there, and we decided we better get them back to town and get them to safety before we continue. So we did that. We went and saw Lady Harriman, and she wanted us to go back still and to try to find her daughter, and she promised us some help with that. But in addition to that, two of the other characters in the group had found out that there was some stuff that needed to be investigated to the north, which is the opposite side of the game world. So we kind of talked about it as a group, and we decided it would be kind of fun that the player characters, which are the magic user, which is the character's name is Braun, played by Niels, magic user, and Smodry, which is the moss dwarf, played by Stesha. They were going to go to the north to follow that quest line. And what we thought would be different is that Brad and I would roll up separate characters for that quest line going to the north. And then vice versa, when we go back south again trying to find Violet on our quest line, we'll call it our quest line, Stesha and Niels would roll up alternate characters for that quest line. So it kind of mixes things up a little bit. So we decided that we were going to go to the north. So that meant Brad and I needed to roll up new characters. So I rolled up a specialist class called the Investigator. Now, the Investigator is a class out of this. This is the World of Nerovia by Edward Green. And the Investigator class, let me show it to you real quick here. It basically takes the place of, from basic Dungeons and Dragons, you had Elf was a class in addition to a race. It was its own class in basic Dungeons and Dragons. And so what he did here is that in the Elf class, he changed it to the Investigator. And it has its own, based upon this rule set, it also uses this rule set. It has its own stats and so forth here, and abilities and all that. And under that, there are subclasses of Witch Hunter and Inquisitor. Inquisitor is the one I took. Inquisitor uses divine magic, meaning like cleric spells, whereas the Witch Hunter uses arcane, which would be magic user spells. And because we seem to always need healing, I went the Inquisitor route. So it's an Investigator, but it's an Inquisitor as the subclass. So what that allows me to do is, I can't wear heavy armor like a cleric could. I can wear leather armor. We discussed that with the DM. The DM said, yeah, that would be a good compromise. But I get spell use. And then the issue about thief skills is still up in the air. I think that I did talk to the author of this, Edward Green, in my last live, and he agreed that the investigator should certainly have some thief skills. So I will work that out with the DM going forward on which ones, whether it would be hide and shadows and open locks, etc., but maybe not pickpockets, which would be more for the true thief class. So we'll work that out with the DM. But regardless, that's the class I'm playing. Brad chose to roll another fighter. And oh, by the way, and my character's name, using the same theme that I've been doing with this campaign, I started with eins, zwei, drei. Drei is 3 in German. So I went 1, 2, 3. So I'm on character, because my first character was killed, rolled up a second character, zwei. This is drei. And drei Siegelsbach is his last name, is my character. And Brad rolled up another fighter by the name of Neritz del Butre. And so that's our alternative characters, which we started at level 3, to go on the northern campaign along with Braun and Smodry. So after all of that was done, we headed out, and there was some talk about a fallen star to the north as well that we needed to investigate. That some, like someone, like maybe a comet or a meteor or something like that fell, and of course, in the Middle Ages time, they would know if that's a message from the gods, what that is, or something magic. So we're also going to investigate that, and so we head out. Now, us rolling up characters and so forth, that took up a chunk of time. So we didn't have a lot of time, game time, actual legit game time. But what we did do is we headed out and we were passing some type of a different type of obelisk up on a hill type of a thing, and we started hearing moaning coming from there. So part of the party was like, we don't need to mess with that. We need to just keep going. And my investigator said, no, as an investigator, I got to figure out what the hell that is. Now, I'm also lawful, and I chose the divine path as an inquisitor. So my character is wanting to vanquish evil, basically, anywhere he finds it. So he's thinking this could be something evil up there, and we need to go find out what it is and perhaps vanquish it. So we head off and go up there, and we find this pillar, for lack of like a basalt type material or whatever. And as we get up to it, the moaning stops. We investigate around, and when we got up, as we were going up the path to try and get to it, my character took out a vial of holy water and sprinkled a line across the path. And I said to the other characters, I said, if we get into trouble and we need to retreat, let's retreat back past this line here, and hopefully the holy water, if it's something averse to holy water, hopefully that will help us, it'll keep it at bay or something. Grasping at straws there, but just trying to be proactive as an investigator would, So we get up, and we cannot find anything, but the moaning stops. So we go back down to the road and start off again, and then the moaning starts up again. So we still don't know what that was. We didn't find anything, but there's some mystery to that we need to go back to and revisit to try and figure that out, because we couldn't find anything, but there's more that needs to be done there. I think maybe we'll go during the daytime and try and investigate it during the day. Maybe we'll get some specific magic items or something, but there's more that needs to be done there. And then at some point we had to camp, and while we were camping, I gotta fix my damn sleeves here. While we were camping, we were awoken by, or whoever was on guard duty awoke us up, because they had heard on this island in the water. We were by the water, and there was an island out there, and they were hearing some like wails, I guess the wailing, screams, wailing, whatever, coming from there. And so, of course, being the investigator, it's in my nature. I'm like, well, that sounds like something maybe we want to check out. And Brad's character, the new fighter, Nerys, said, yeah, I want to check out what that is too. And we fashioned we found a log to basically, straddle and basically use that to float on to get out there. And it wasn't too far away, but it was enough where we had to makeshift something to get out over there. So we get over there, and as we start going through the brush and all that other stuff, we start to be able to make out that there are like wild boars, and a whole bunch of them. And these wild boars are making little wild boars. Like there's a group of these wild boars all, I don't want to say having sex. That's not the right term for animals, procreating. They are all copulating. Let's say that. So they're all doing this deed here, and that's where it's all, and the animals are making this horrible sound, which is what we heard. And then in addition to that, we see this like silky, almost like spider web material, on the foliage and everything. And we're not sure what that is, but we're thinking, okay, there might also be some giant spiders around here too. And there's just the two of us that went out to investigate. So we haul ass back to the camp, and we explained to the group what we found. And the moss dwarf, Smodry, when we explained what we found about this like material that was like more like spider webs or whatever, the moss dwarf recognized what we're describing and said, oh, that is a natural aphrodisiac, which probably explains why the boars were engaging in what they were doing, because of this material, whatever. And the dwarf says that stuff fetches a lot of gold, back, in towns and stuff like that. You can sell that stuff for quite a bit. So we decided that after we do our mission on the way back, perhaps we will go there and try and collect some of that, to sell, to make some gold. So that is now a side mission, that we're going to try and work on our way back. So, one of the other things that we did before we left town was some of the characters went to the potion shop, and the proprietor there said, hey, if you're going that direction, I need some stuff for some special tea to make potions with and so forth, and gave them, the other two who's, basically the quest we're on, like a shopping list of stuff to find in nature through foraging and all that, to take back, and he will pay quite handsomely for that. So we, and I forgot one thing, an important thing. So the main reason for going to the north was to go to there's a separate town, another town we needed to go to, where one of the children that we rescued needed to be returned to, because that's where his parents were. And his name, that kid's name was Hodgehedge. And I'm trying to remember the town that he was from. I had it written down here, but I can't remember it. But there's another town that was north. That was the main reason for going that way. And let's see if I can find that town name here. Yeah, I'm not seeing it here. But my character said to them before we took off, they were planning on taking Hodgehedge the child with them on this quest to try and make it to that other town to return him to his parents and so forth. And my character, the investigator, said, well, that might be too dangerous based upon all the stuff we've encountered so far, or that you all have encountered. And then, he starts as a third level character, so he's got experience under his belt too. And he knows how dangerous these things are out, the woods are out here in the Dolmenwood. So my character suggests perhaps we leave him here in the church at the town in Prigwort where he's safe. We go try and find the family, the parents, if they're around, if we can even locate them. And then we say, okay, your son is safe. He's in Prigwort at the church, and give them the opportunity to say, okay, they're going to go collect him, or maybe they'll come with us back to the town to collect him, or maybe they'll ask us to go get him and bring him to them, and because then we have their permission to do that, so that if something happens to the child, the guilt isn't on us. They asked us to do this. You see where I'm going with this? So they agreed. They're like, yeah, let's leave him here where he's safe. We'll go try to find the parents, and then we'll take it from there. So we had that, then the falling star, and this tea ingredients that needed to be collected. And then on the way, we saw the tower the moaning that was coming from the tower, and the boars in the woods on that island with the expensive aphrodisiac and all that. And the way somebody termed it, I think it was Brad who said, the boar orgy that was going on the island, or a borgy that was happening. That's another side quest. But so now that's all the stuff that we were going to do going to the north. We get to another small little hamlet type of a thing, and we decide, okay, we're going to rest here at a certain point. We get there and we decide we're going to rest here and try and get some information from the people in this little town or whatever. And so we get to that, and we, of course, go into the tavern, and what's becoming apparent to the other players in the group is, the other characters, that is that my character, my investigator, seems to be quite fond of the sauce, and specifically wine. He's obviously basically a wino, an alcoholic, but particularly wine. He always has a water skin filled with wine as they're traveling, and then as soon as they get somewhere, he orders, a bottle of wine. He's not a cheap wino, but he's a wino because that's, and so I decided to play him as a very inquisitive, i.e. inquisitor, but one of his flaws is he's an alcoholic. So in the process, we get to this tavern, and he orders his wine and all that, and has a couple, and then it's described to us that there's a shady look. Well, I don't know if shady is the right term, but a unique looking character sitting alone, has been sitting there the whole time, with a pet fox, under the table where he's sitting, like a pet. And this guy's kind of just like observing everything. And my character, as the investigator, decides that, especially after a couple of wines, decides, as an investigator, I need to figure out what this guy's deal is. He's just sitting there watching us and not doing much, as not talking to anybody, and just being the curious type. So my character goes over, introduces himself, and says, hey, I'm just that inquisitive type person. I'm just curious, the fox has me curious as to, is it a pet? Is it a hunting company? Do you use him for hunting? Do you, etc. And lo and behold, I had to make a saving throw, because whoever this guy was, he cast charm person, and I failed. So he charms me and starts asking all these questions about our party, about our group, what we're doing, all this stuff. And so that happened. And then at some point, he did something and left or whatever. And I went, if I remember correctly, my character went unconscious and then woke up, and this dude was gone. And I think, I take that back. We did not stop there. So the rest of the party member says, hey, we're pretty sure that guy charmed you. And then split. And we're not sure what that was all about, because he asked a bunch of questions and then he left. And I got nothing out of him. I don't remember. The DM says my character doesn't remember any of it. So, whatever it was, he got the better of me because I failed my saving throw. Maybe if I had made my saving throw, then it could have been, I could have tried to get some information out of him. He would have probably been trying to get information out of me, and it would have been much more spirited dialogue. But regardless, so we still don't know what that's all about. So we rest there for the evening, and then the next day we wake up and we decide, okay, let's head out and continue on trying to accomplish these missions, try and get to the town where this kid's parents are. Let's try to find some of this tea stuff, all of that, and get to the point where that fallen star was. So we get down the road, and we get to a point where we come upon like a clearing, and there's a bunch of decapitated heads on spikes or something like that. Almost like a ritual area, and I start like investigating the remains, like the decapitated heads, for any type of distinguishing marks, or basically if the same, if they were all decapitated in the same manner, like as if they were all clean cuts. Were they jagged? Does it look like there's any residue from like rust or from the blades or anything like that? Or does it look more like it's cauterized, where like it was a heated blade, maybe a searing blade that cut and left it cauterized? Any kind of clues as to what happened here? And while I'm doing all that, the two other characters, Smodry and Braun, they're over there foraging, and they managed to get the stuff that the guy needed for the tea. They find this stuff here. And that's where we had to stop. It got to be midnight or whatever, and we had to stop there. So they were able to find some components that they needed to get, but we're trying to figure out what happened here. We're still trying to get to the town where this kid's from, Hodgehedge, find out where that star came down, that fallen star came down. We've got the components that they were after, and then we got the side quests and stuff, and the mysterious stranger with the fox from the tavern. What happened there? We got all these things to unravel. But that is kind of, in a nutshell, that is what occurred. We didn't even have any combat. It was more just investigating, collecting, dialoguing about quest objectives and stuff like that, or role playing with different NPCs and all that. But it was a fun session. So that's where we're at. And again, if you're watching this and you aren't caught up, you may want to go back and watch the playlist and get yourself caught up. So, trying to make sure I didn't forget anything, leave anything out. I'm really digging the investigator class. So, that is, in addition to that, there was two other classes that he added in here besides, there's the Vigil. The Vigil took the place of the Dwarf, because Dwarf was a class in basic D&D, and so was Halfling. And so the Halfling, he replaced with Street Urchin. So you have the Vigil, the Investigator, the Street Urchin. So this is available. I don't get any kickbacks or anything like this. This is just because I enjoy this material. It's on DriveThruRPG, if anybody's interested. So anyway, that's it, guys. Long video, 24 minutes. I wasn't expecting it to go that long. Until next time, which should be tomorrow, we'll do our gaming news segment. And until then, we'll catch you on the flip side.